They go buy your cassettes, and then later, 30 minutes later, we're the devil, and they're going to have a record burning in the back.
Live from Lakeland, Florida, it's the Jeff Adams Show. Starring Jeff Adams.
You can't get more Alabama than that, man. What was up with that, Bubba Bo?
Oh, now he hung up on you, dude.
It doesn't mean you give up. It means you carry on. If it's really a passion in your heart, you're going to continue to do it because you love to do it.
Jeff has a serious bathroom phobia.
Yeah, even my own kids, my son.
It's because you've got all that negative energy around your bathroom phobia. Like, it attracts bad scenes. You know what I mean?
I don't make this stuff up. I don't make it up.
The Jeff Adams Show is brought to you by CheapOair.com. CheapOair is the fastest way to compare and book flights on over 450 airlines. You heard that right, over 450 airlines worldwide. Plus, for a limited time only, you can use promo code Jeff to save even more on your next flight. So don't let summer pass you by. Book that trip of a lifetime on CheapOair.com today.
CheapOair. Travel the world for less.
The Jeff Adams Show is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/The Jeff Adams Show. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. GoDaddy.com. They have everything you need to put your business online. Find new customers and get started. It's go time. Visit GoDaddy.com. Enter promo code Jeff199 off and save on your new purchases. BitGravity, the exclusive HD provider of the Jeff Adams Show and TTB Network. Trust BitGravity. Visit BitGravity.com for more information. The Jeff Adams Show is produced on NewTek's TriCaster 460. Stun your viewers, not your account. Visit NewTek.com for more information.
ManGrate. ManGrates are an amazing tool for serious grillers. Constructed from 100% American-made cast iron, these grill grates cook with radiant heat and are a more efficient way to barbecue.
ManGrate, grill enhancement system.
Crowd is canned, literally fired. We haven't been here for a while. It's been a long time, so you might see rust come out of my mouth as I do this broadcast. But man, let's just cut to the chase here. Enough of this mumbo jumbo talk. Let me introduce my co-host for today, producer extraordinaire, Rivers of Broadcast Magic, Stephen Heywood. What's going on?
What's going on, Jeff?
Well, hopefully no technical difficulties this week. And, yeah, I hope everything is smooth on our end. I was thinking like last week when we were trying to do the show and ran into things. You know what it reminds me of? Trying to set all this stuff up and make it work right.
What's that?
Reminds me, because you played in a band, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it reminds me when I used to play in bands. You would try to get your sound perfected, at sound check. And then if you didn't have a sound guy, running your front of your front of the house and then your in ears, it was disastrous. And so everything you planned and timed, something goes wrong. But I was always say, just worry about the front of the house. That's what's important. We can't hear each other. That's fine.
Yeah.
But man, this stuff, man, I tell you what. And then Steve, I got some cameras in today from a buddy of mine. He's let me borrow some cameras. Steve goes, "You gonna hook them up today?" An hour and a half on the show. I'm like, "Are you crazy? I'm not gonna risk it." So here we are. And Becca says we need to get Jeff a second show jacket. Maybe
houndstooth jacket?
Well, this jacket fits me fine. I actually wore it to Nashville. on a Tuesday, and it works just fine. You know, it's a great show jacket, and I don't wear a lot of jackets. Only when I do business meetings and I do this show. And actually, if you would look under the table, I'm wearing a pair of shorts. So what do you know? I live in Florida. Still got to look pro though, but you would never know what's underneath the table ever. We wear my underwear for all you know.
We don't want to know.
Yeah. So, you know, I know this has been a big topic this week, but, you know, I have to say something about this because it's, you know, it's so important to me that, you know, we lost a great, obviously we lost Robin Williams on Monday. For me, Robin Williams was such an inspiration in so many ways. He revolutioned comedy for me and my life with just his extraordinary acting skills. I mean, he just was an amazing actor, and more than that, a great funny man. And it just really shook me up when I heard the news that you know, he took his life because of depression. You know, it's something a lot of people need to take serious with depression. I battled with it over time, and you know, you need to seek help. And when you get low in a low place like that, it's no reason to take yourself out. But you don't really understand, not unless you battle with it. A lot of people were very selfish and said, "Why did he do that?" But no one knows exactly what he was going through. But man, Robin Williams, what did you think about that, Steve, when you heard the news?
Well, I was kind of floored because I remember him from Peter Pan. I remember from Mrs. Doubtfire and some of these other classic great movies. And one of the things that I actually read today on Facebook, somebody had posted, a guy that I follow pretty well, and he's pretty well known, you know, in social media and whatnot. But he said that they're finding out that the reason why he did it, and he was so depressed, was they found out he had Parkinson's disease, and he was in the latter stages that potentially it was just a matter of time before that was going to kill him. And so between the depression and knowing that he had Parkinson's disease and that this was the inevitable, he figured out, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I mean, that's again, this was a source that I saw. I didn't really have time a lot to research that, but I'm not saying that gives you the right or makes it okay to go off yourself. But, you know, you wonder what goes through somebody's mind. I mean, you know, I told you earlier I'm going to be preaching Sunday, and the topic of the message is live life like you were dying.
Right.
And I kind of think that if we all did that, I think life would be a lot better.
It would. You take it day by day, man. You know, you never know, man. That's the crazy thing. You just read what's going on in the news. Not to get Debbie Downey here on the show. We try to be uplifting, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. But you know, you really just got to take it day by day, because you just are not guaranteed anything in this life. You know, so that's what I've tried to do. I mean, through my, you know, battling with depression over the years too, and with myself, and you know, being moody and whatnot, I just really tried to have an attitude of, hey, I'm just gonna live for now, you know, and enjoy every moment, because you just never know. I mean, it's just a crazy world that we live in on so many levels. Yep. But you know, don't want to talk doom and gloom, but had to say that. I rarely ever talk about, you know, stuff like that, but I had to, because Robin Williams was such an inspiration in my life, and you know, I grew up with him, and you know, just watched all of his movies. Just an amazing person, and you know, 62 years old. That's very young as I get up there too. So, a lot going on, man. Just got back from Nashville, and hadn't been up there for like a year with this new job I'm doing, and that was very pleasant. It was actually nice, Steve, that, you know, because I traveled a lot in the past. I'm sure you travel with your job. And I flew, you know, commercial all the time, you know, and I had lots of miles. But this is the first time I ever, you know, working with all these bands. I flew on a private plane before, but it was a DC-3. And it was by the owner of Full Sail. He owns the recording school in Orlando, Florida. He actually has this old DC-3 with propellers. He took us down to Fort Lauderdale for a steak dinner and flew us back. But I flew on a smaller private jet. I don't know what model it was, but with the people I work with, and it was really awesome, because I live in Lakeland, Florida, and it's in between Orlando and Tampa. So I didn't have to drive to Tampa or Orlando. They picked me up at the Lakeland Regional Airport, which is this teeny airport. No commercial flights fly out of there. So they picked me up, and we headed to Nashville. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. But it was kind of like being in a sardine. You know, I think if probably fits like 5 people in the back. But if you had close to 5 people, I'd probably be claustrophobic. And we had some turbulence one time, and I'm 6'5", and I hit my head on the roof. And but it's a different experience. If you ever get to experience that, definitely maybe, you know, our man up in Virginia with the, you know, with the WTLN, right?
W Element.
W Element. Okay. Yeah, maybe he can take us on a flight. I think he flies those models, I believe. He said something on Facebook, but
there's an important question that goes with that though, Jeff.
Yeah.
Did you use the bathroom on the plane?
I looked around, there was nothing on the plane, which I'll get that too. You know, I asked the guy we landed, I go, there's no bathroom on the plane. And he said, yeah, there is, but you just won't want to use it. It's kind of like a porta potty in, you know, a boat or something. You have to pull it out and everybody would see you. And I was thinking that, I was like, man, you know, but I used to bring this up, and I hope he doesn't watch this because he'll get mad at me. I used to work with an artist. He was in Group 1 crew, still is. He's still doing Group 1 crew by himself. But he's worse than me with bathrooms. He can't really travel on tour buses knowing that if he can't take a Duke, because if you're on a tour bus, the rule is you don't take a Duke on the tour bus. It's a no-go. But it's a mental thing with him. So anyways, in Canada one time, we had this guy chart a private jet. I was not there. He called me and he said, there's no bathroom on this plane. I'm not getting on this plane. And this guy spent, you know, chartering a private jet's like, it's really expensive. I mean, you're looking, you know, dropping $8,000 to $15,000 for a private jet.
Wow.
If you don't, you know, obviously own one or something like that. But anyways, he wouldn't get on the jet. I said, you got to get on the jet. Just, you know, do I have to get you diapers to put on or something? You know, what's going on?
Yeah, right.
Hey, caller, we'll get with you in 1 minute. So, you know, I mean, basically, yeah, no bathroom, but I think he's going to upgrade the plane. I don't know if I ever be back on that plane. I don't know. That was a very special treat because I flew out like at 11 in the morning, and I got back at, I think it was like 9 o'clock at night. So I was in and out of Nashville. Took one meeting. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
But really, really cool. And, you know, speaking of bathroom, you know, at the pre-show, I was throwing pin caps at my cat. You know, I have this, you know, studio office up here, Steve. And the crazy thing with it is, you know, it's a nice space. You know, like half of it is, you know, you got the podcast, you know, broadcasting going, and I got a nice little desk over here. Then I got this little wall with like Transformers from my childhood. I started putting out, you know, little man's room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know. I love our cat. Our cat's just this unique cat, and they, for some reason, it got locked in the office overnight.
Oh, no.
And so my wife shares an office with me. She's one over from me, and our office is kind of like over our garage. And so I get up there, and my wife says, the cat crapped upstairs. I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Well, lo and behold, the cat actually crapped on all my wires. You're talking about like $30 to $40 wires. You know, I had them all bundled up, you know, and put together, and I just had to go through them and throw a lot of them away because it was just like pointless, you know, because they were in the grooves, you know. And my wife goes, you didn't take the toothpick and take them out? I'm like, what's the point? I just threw the wires out. I had to buy some new wires. So I don't like the cat very much, and I had to, like, you know, scrub the floors and just still this aroma of cat craps up here. And I was like, and I got it all. I don't, you know, stupid cats.
I hear you. I was the same way. I was telling you in pre-show. I wanted to shoot my cat last night. I don't like the constant scratching and tearing, you know, at stuff. And that was my fault. I didn't get it declawed because they say, quote unquote, my wife's like, it's so inhumane. And I'm like, we have $2,000 furniture. You know, I'm just like.
Yeah. Well, you know, today's show, you know, I got a call. I don't want to keep them on hold. We're going to get with you. I hadn't really discussed our topic today. We're going to see how it goes. We've been gone for, you know, a month and a half, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah, Steve vacationing, and, you know, me can't do a show, vice versa, you know, stuff happens. And then last week, you know, tech stuff happens. But anyways, you know, I don't know how many calls we're going to actually get today, but we have a call on the line. But today's topic, Steve, I wanted to talk about a couple, maybe it was last week. I actually posted in some podcast rooms on Facebook and says, because everybody, walks around and pumps their chest, especially when they're into something or not into something, and they consider themselves an expert in the field. And I'm just like saying, okay, and I just kind of put out there for people. I said, what makes you an expert in your field? Is it a qualification of a paycheck, or is it a qualification of your knowledge? And there's like a lot of different answers that I received. A lot of people based it on a paycheck, but what if you're doing something and it's a hobby, and you've spent so much money on it, like for instance, you can't be a professional shooter that shoots guns, right? But if you're in the guns, you can know everything about guns.
I thought you were calling me out here because I have all this equipment here and it keeps breaking.
No. I'm using it as an example. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Steve, I wouldn't say that.
No, but I hear what you're saying. It's kind of like these guys that they go out fishing and right away they think that I got a couple buddies that want to do that. They go out and they're like, hey, I'm good. They just stocked the creek. I'm good. Look at all these fish I'm catching. And then they're ready to join Bassmasters or something,
Yeah. Well, let me take this call before they hang up and see what they have to say. And maybe it's about the topic. We'll see. Hey, you on the Jeff Adams Show. What's going on? Bubba Bo Beard. Let me try to turn you up, Bubba Bo Beard. Keep talking, Bubba, with your sexy voice.
I called Bronx, New York.
You did what?
Bronx.
Am I in the Bronx?
The number was the Bronx number. Yeah, it says Bronx, New York.
Huh.
Yeah, I saw your posted on the Facebook.
Yeah. You there? Yeah, you're really low. I got you panned all the way up, man.
It's almost like he's walking away from his phone or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Is this better?
No. A little. Keep talking, buddy.
Well, what I was saying is that I think you're born an expert. I mean, you look at somebody, you've heard so much about Robin Williams this week, and I don't think that a lot of times being an expert, whether you're a great comedian or a great carpenter, a lot of it is observation, but in my feelings is you're born as an expert.
You're born static.
Yeah. Keep talking, buddy. I'm gonna try to work this out. So you think you're born an expert?
I think a lot of people, yeah. I mean, you're born with gifts,
right?
And then you turn into an expert. For instance, I was saying that Robin Williams, for an example,
right?
And longevity with whatever you're doing, whether you're a printer or a mechanic or whatever you're doing, if you stick with it long enough, you've done it long enough, that's what makes you an expert.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, is it to you? Is it a like a yearly thing? I mean, you can't obviously be born out of the your mom's womb and be an expert comedian or something like that.
Well, I'm talking about as adults starting in your teen years.
Right.
I mean, I have 10 children, right?
Yeah. You have 10 children.
One is my daughter is a wonderful singer.
Yeah.
And my son, he is funny. They were born with it. They didn't learn it from me. Well, maybe the comedy side of it.
Right.
But I didn't teach my daughter how to sing.
But you can be born with a skill, but that doesn't make you an expert. I mean, Bubba, when I went to college, I went to Bible college to be a pastor, and you get kids that came in for one semester and they thought they were this big biblical scholar because they had like 9 weeks of Bible college under their belt. I mean, I don't think you truly can become an expert. I mean, you could be good in your craft, but I mean, if you're not constantly learning, I mean, Jeff, do you agree?
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough question, man. Yeah.
I think you have to be born with the skill.
Born with the intelligence.
Right.
And if you don't have the intelligence, you're not going to be a wonderful neurologist.
Well, yeah, I mean, it comes with it comes with intelligence for sure. Man, I wish this phone system worked a little bit better, man.
Let's go to break and then see if we can get that rectified.
Yeah, Bubba, let me put you on hold, and we're going to head to break. And I'm really excited about this new sponsor that we have. Check out our new sponsor. We'll be right back.
Well, wait a second. Didn't we have to preface something? Because it's Shark Week, right?
Yeah, it's Shark Week, but I'm very excited about this new sponsor.
Okay. I'm just okay.
I don't know if the ladies will be, but I'm excited about it. We'll be right back.
Meet Pete, roofer extraordinaire. One day, people will spend their evenings just admiring his work. The rain that rolls off his slates will be collected as blessed water, and even flightless birds will flock for a spot on a shingle. But if no one knows about Pete, his talents will go unnoticed. Fortunately, GoDaddy.com can help you get online and get noticed. Don't rob the world of your talents. Visit GoDaddy. It's go time.
The Jeff Adams Show is brought to you by GoDaddy. They have everything you need to put your business online. Find new customers and get started. Get started by registering a domain name and creating your website with GoDaddy's easy-to-use website builder. Already have a site? Keep it running fast with GoDaddy Web Hosting. It's go time. Visit GoDaddy.com, enter promo code Jeff30.
Off and save on your new purchases.
You can also get a .com domain for $1.99 or transfer a domain using promo code Jeff199. Some limitations apply. See website for details.
On the TTB network, watch these great shows live every week. Weekly Roundup Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Broadcast Now Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. My Constitutional Right Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. The Jeff Adams Show, Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. Rose Unlimited Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Only on the ttbnetwork.com.
Hey, live TV, baby. We're on the phone with the one and only Bubba Bo Beard. Haven't heard from him in a while. We're actually talking today. What makes you an expert and in your field? You know, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm an expert of anything. I think my views on it, Bubba and Steve, is that I guess people would consider me an expert in the music industry to a certain degree. But I mean, being an expert, you still have to learn things every single day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can learn something brand new every single day.
Yeah.
So how does that make you an expert, for crying out loud?
I don't know, but I think if you're constantly honing your craft, I think you could be somebody that is looked upon, you know, and somebody that you can learn from. I mean, you know, like, you know, we do broadcast now. So people look to me for broadcasting advice. Am I an expert? No, I'm constantly learning. I'm learning something new every day, just like cobbling all this stuff together, you know?
Right. and that's what people got mad at me. I mean, they I guess in the Facebook thing, I mean, some people were very like, well, I'm an expert because this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. But it's, to me, I just really don't think you can anybody can't call himself an expert, right? Because my thing is like with this Bubba and Steve is ask Michael Jordan that. Ask Michael Jordan if he was an expert. And guess what he'll tell you? He'll tell you no, he wasn't an expert. You know why? Because he was always practicing on his weaknesses in the gym. And if he was an expert, he probably would have won a lot more championships and never lost a game, right?
Yeah. That's true.
I put it at that standard, you know? And I think a lot of people walk around and they think they're an expert. Like, hey, I'm an expert. I know what I'm doing. And, you know, the funny thing is, you know, because I do a lot of it. I mean, I just don't want to get in the muck of the mire. People that are experts in the field, they do consulting work, you know? And, you know, I used to make fun of that. I was like, hey, what do you do? I'm a consultant. Consultant of what? You know, but I got smart. I just became a consultant of people that do music and want to get deeper into the music industry. You know, I was like, well, I'd rather do this than managing bands. It just makes a lot more sense. So, Bubba, what's been going on? You've been kind of dark on us, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had a couple of operations. I went in and I had a vertebrae that was taken from a donor bone. I'm not a vertebrae, but a disc.
Yeah.
And they took it from a female, right? The first operation.
Right.
Which I woke up halfway through. They woke me up because my blood pressure had dropped to 30/20.
Ouch.
I had to go back the next week to finish the operation. And I talked to the doctor yesterday, and they have put a lady's donor disc in my back. And he said that I'm going to have a slight wrist.
I knew you were going there.
No. And I've been having mood swings, and I've been craving chocolate, and I've been watching the View, things like that. I didn't know. But I want to tell you something about being an expert. Getting back to this, and I'll keep this as brief as possible. So, how long is the show? Do I have an hour? 2 hours? I'll keep this very brief. I think being an expert. Okay, I started out in comedy as I was working my real job, correct?
Yeah.
And I was told by some wonderful comedians that just happened to take me under their wing and say, Bubba, you're going to fail today.
Right.
You are going to bomb. I didn't believe it. I did a show in Birmingham, first one I ever did. Everything went great. Went to Atlanta, did a show. Everything went great.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do a lot of it on the internet. Everybody loved me. Everybody, I could get a show going right now, and there'll be people coming in there.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you guys some advice right now.
Okay.
Don't ever play a show in Bessemer, Alabama.
Well, that's funny. That's where my next show is.
That Bessemer, that was where I bombed. And the reason you become an expert is you realize the places you ought to play and the places not to play, and each and every audience is different. And you probably experienced this on your show. Each and every show is different. The callers are different. And it's the adaptability and the learning experiences that I think, without being a neurosurgeon or anything like that, or an astronaut or a cosmonaut, or, I guess presidents learn on the job. But I think to be a real and true expert, it's adaptability. If you don't have adaptability, I don't think you're an expert.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it, man. You know what? Yeah,
you roll with it.
You know what I know what's not an expert? Is this stinking Blog Talk Radio. The freaking phone system stink. That's not an expert. So Blog Talk Radio stink it.
I tell you what, I mean, what have you learned over the past few months? Podcast.
Yeah, you know what I've learned? Don't take yourself too seriously. You're going to make mistakes, and the more you prep, the more you're going to fall. The more you prep, if technology's not working in your favor, the more you're going to fall, and you just got to go with it, and just be yourself. and just be original, man, and just have fun. I mean, and if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be doing this. You know what I'm saying? There's probably a million other things. I love this. It keeps me on my toes. And, you know, and God bless you, Bubba, for being a stand-up comic, because I couldn't do it. I mean, this way I can at least bomb with jokes, and I don't hear anybody. Except for trolls on the internet saying that sucks. But you know, other than that, it's a good way to, you know, stay sharp, man, and just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's been shows that you didn't feel so good about before, and I felt good about it. The shows that you had done before, and I was thinking like, well, you know, that to me that sounded fine, but you have to find out what you feel is perfection and
right
with it.
You know,
I won't keep you guys long. God love you. God bless you. And Jeffrey, I wish you the best of luck. You know, I'm pulling for you. I'll post whatever I can on my Facebook pages, and hope you have a huge audience today and a wonderful discussion with the folks. And I certainly hope that everything works out for you. I mean, if you can get the sponsors, man, you're off and running.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I'll send you some panties with your new limp. Thanks, Bubba. It's always good, Bubba.
You know, Jeff, he made a good point there, and I don't know if you caught it, or at the end he said, you know, some of the shows that you did, that maybe you and I sat down, we were like, oh my gosh, what the heck happened on that one? He was like, I was like, what was the problem? It was a good show. I think that we're so engulfed in some of this stuff that we do, and this goes across the board with whatever your profession is, that you forget to have fun during the show, and you're so into, like you said, the tech side of things, or you're trying to make it perfect. Meanwhile, you're touching all these people out there, because the people are like, I don't understand why they're saying it's terrible or this or that. So
yeah, I used to get so bent out of shape, just like right now. I mean, you know, stinking phone systems, this blog talk radio thing's garbage. Right. You know, like it's muffled. It works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. But, you know, used to, that would discourage me. It would, you know, keep me off my game. And but it didn't. I mean, it just sucks. And that's, you know, the phone call was all muffled, but you just got to go with it, man. What can you possibly do? It's like, what used to pulling more hair out of my head? Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much you can do. Just like, you know, with the technical difficulties we had, and even before the show, the technical difficulties, you just got to kind of, like you told me before, you're like, this stuff happens.
I used to get so bent out of shape when we first started the show, and you know, we had the Mary Monk on, and you know, Mary Monk, I love you, bro. If you're watching this, listen to this, you know, don't take offense to this, but man, that used to suck the life out of me. I mean, he worked at a professional radio station, and he couldn't get a Skype set. Mm-hmm. And we'd be like in pre-show for 45 minutes, and then they would take all the life out of me. I didn't want to do a show because I was so frustrated with the technical stuff of this. You know, it was very, very, I don't know, man. It just, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
I could tell you were getting frazzled last week when we were trying to do the show, and you ran into stuff, and I'm like, I just said, man, Steve, what can you do, man? Just get it fixed. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, I've just learned that when you do this stuff, you just can't take yourself serious. You know, it's like, because if you do, you're going to be like beating yourself up.
Yeah. I mean, and that's all you can do, you know, just do the best that you can with what you have. And, you know, but there's a lot of people out there who don't think that way. And I think that they're the ones with all the stress, and they're the ones that are like, not enjoying life or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah. I'm enjoying life right now. I really am. I'm venturing and starting a brand new company. I'm going to launch a company called JA Creative New Media. We're going to specialize in social media marketing and, new media content. And, sometimes with dreams, you just got to go with it, man. You got to venture in and do what you do, man. Because if, we're episode 41. I'm 41 years old. So, it's do or die, and it's just like, if I don't get paid for doing a podcast or broadcast, whippy do, you know what I'm saying? I do this to stay sharp, communicate. It's my creative outlet. I used to be a music artist, so this is my mic, no interruptions, my microphone. No one's going to interrupt me. You know what I'm saying? It's just every radio person's like that,
right. Exactly.
You've got to be a communicator.
Right.
And this is my outlet. Outside of this, real life, people that met me in real life, I just go quiet. I just listen and agree with people and don't overpower things, So
I got a question.
Yeah.
I just wanted to interrupt you because you said nobody can interrupt you, so I just wanted to interrupt you.
I just thought you were, I thought you were being a producer and adding to the show here.
Yeah, no, you said you couldn't be interrupted. This is my mic, so I decided to interrupt you.
No, there you go.
All right, little comedy relief there. I'm trying. All right.
Yeah, some of your comedy stuff I don't even get till after the fact. If I went back and watched the show or something, I'm like, dude, that was pretty funny what Steve said. Because half of the time my mind's running, what am I going to say next? And I don't pay attention. But yeah, you say some funny lines sometimes.
Well, I am an expert in this field.
You're an expert.
I'm an expert.
I'm a pro. What makes you a pro basketball player, a pro football player?
When you get the big contract, I think what makes you a pro at anything, right? I mean, it comes down to what the contract, the dollar. People are paying you for what they feel like you're worth, right?
Right. I'm worth what? $5 per man, great soul. That make me an expert. Expert in the man greats, baby. No, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a sensitive subject. People get very upset about talking about this because I actually outside the show and like social media, I talked about it with people and people got a little upset. Like, oh, I'm an expert. I'm like, well, what qualifies you to make an expert? Did you write a book? I wrote a book. Okay. You writing other books? Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, I just really don't think there's experts out there. I don't.
Well, I mean, to an extent, I call Mike Phillips is in the chat room. I call him an expert in audio. But if you asked him, he'd probably tell you he's not an expert. But he's got 40-some years under his belt in audio. So obviously if the man says something's wrong, you listen or you're stupid, one of the two.
Well, of course. He would be what I call a master of his craft.
Okay. But so then define the difference between expert and master of craft. So you're back to that.
Master of the universe, baby. No, I'm kidding. He-Man. No, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm going to backpedal a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but I feel, and I'm going to go ahead and say this because I don't care. I feel like in the podcast community, people come around. If you look at posts and different things, automatically they start coming across like they're experts, and there's really no expert thing about this. I mean, you got a USB board, you plug it in your computer, you got a microphone, you hook it into your board. So, and then people start talking about, well, I do this and do that, and truthfully, it's like I found Stephen Heywood, the producer of Broadcast Magic, because of, YouTube videos, and I said, well, this guy knows what he's talking about with Wirecast. So I just watched what he did. And I was like, hey, he's got other shows. And I'd watch and I watch. So, yeah, I think you are a pro of what you do. Now, because the reason I say that is because it's with you, it's led you to a full-time job in that craft. So that's what I'm really getting at. Because a lot of people say they're experts and it might be a hobby for them. But then again, I think they can become an expert. Once again, they take that step. They still might be doing something else, but they're getting paid money in a field that surrounds what they're doing.
But I think a lot of these guys are shysters that are doing this. I mean, there's a couple guys in there, and I don't want to call them out on the recording, but even in the chat room that have used this terminology, snake oil salesman, because that's what they are. I mean, like you said, it's not difficult. If you take the time to sit down and learn how to do this, you can do it. But I just think that these people take advantage of people. I think that's what you're getting at, right? That these people are out there taking advantage of people.
Yes.
And making it out to be something that it's really not. Like they're telling them, oh, you can make, as Mike's saying in the chat room, you can make $1 million podcasting if you buy this gear.
Yeah.
Since you're talking about that.
Maybe I'm just going to say what I really want to say.
Say it.
I'm not going to hold back.
Come on.
I am pissed off because in my line of work, over 23 years in the music industry, I get pissed off at, these people that come in and they say they can do this, that, and the other, and they take people's money and they can't do jack diddly squat because they don't have the relationships. And they call themselves experts in the music industry, and they take advantage of people. And I think that it's across the board. People do that across the board.
Sure.
With different types of scenarios, with different types of work. They say, I'm an expert in the field, and you got to pay me this X amount of dollars. You know what? It comes down to what you bring to the table. When someone hires you or something, you just bring it. And that's probably what I'm upset about more than anything, because I don't like I think the word expert has been abused and from people that want to make a quick buck, and then they make it harder for us people that actually do something, a lot harder to get what we need to be successful. Just like in podcasting. I mean, a lot of these guys go in and try to get, sponsors, and they say, well, I got X amount of, people, and then so-and-so drops, some money, and then they don't get any results. And so next time around, someone that really needs, that can shake and bake, on some, advertising, they say, oh, we're not going to do that. We got burned. Same thing with social media. I mean, I asked a guy down the street, I said, hey, dude, he runs this great pizza parlor. I'm like, hey, man, let me run your social media for 1 month for free. And you, and no obligations. And you tell me if you don't see any, results. And he said, nope, I already worked with a company. They burned me. They promised me the moon and the stars. I said, but I'm offering it to you for free. Give me a chance. He's like, nope, I just do, paper marketing. That's all I do. And it's my pizza. People come to me because of my pizza. I'm like, okay. But see, someone ruined that for me.
Right.
A great thing. It's just, it's frustrating because people come in and they burn bridges and they don't care just to make a quick buck.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to try to grab this call and bear with us.
Because then we'll have to go to break too.
Yeah. Let me go to break first and then we'll grab this call. So caller, just stay on hold. Looks like a Atlanta number, and we'll be right back after this message.
Sean hasn't discovered Audible.com yet. He uses his smartphone mostly for social media, where he's become quite skilled in abbreviated communicating. Sean thought this skill would be good to demonstrate to a potential employer who inquired about his spare time. OMG, I totes heart soch meet. Hire me, lols. Don't be like unemployed Sean. Use your smartphone smarter. Try one of the hundreds of thousands of titles at Audible.com, an Amazon company.
The Jeff Adams Show is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/The Jeff Adams Show. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
ManGrate. ManGrates are an amazing tool for serious grillers. Constructed from 100% American-made cast iron, these grill grates cook with radiant heat and are a more efficient way to barbecue.
ManGrates, grill enhancement system.
If you go to the JeffAdamsShow.tv, you can get this ManGrate for $19.95. If we wanted to, Steve, we get like TTB Network on here, or the Jeff Adams Show, whatever you would want on this brush, you can get. But I wouldn't really understand why you would want to have the Jeff Adams Show cleaning your grill. That's just me. But ManGrate, go to JeffAdamsShow.tv and get yourself a ManGrate today. And I'm telling you, you want a high-end, nice tasting steak, chicken, you name it. ManGrate's it. Go to JeffAdamsShow.tv. Hit the promo code, boom, it'll take you there. Order it $19.99. You can't beat that. ManGrate, I like grilling. It's great. Fantastic. Wow, I'm going to use it tonight. Yes, sir. Canned laughter in there. And that's not laughter, that's applause, actually. We're back here on the Jeff Adams Show talking. I'm an expert. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. We're not really experts. I'm not an expert in anything. No, I take that back. I am an expert on the subject of nothing. Let's get to these calls. Listeners, people watching archives, watching live, please apologize. The phone system is really jacked today. And I've tried on my end, I'll try to fix it, and it's just not happening. So let me grab this call from Atlanta, and then we'll get to Mike Phillips, who is on hold. Caller, you're on the air.
I'm on the air. Nice hair, Jeff.
Oh, my gosh. It's Al Marks.
You got it.
Oh, man. Al Marks is an amazing guy. Let me tell you who.
And I'm an expert.
He's an expert.
I will call Al Marks an expert. Al Marks worked with me. Al Marks. Now, if there's anybody in the world that's an expert, it's Al Marks.
What does he do?
He worked in the music industry for over, 40 years?
45.
45.
Wow. Impressive.
And he worked. He was actually a partner with me when the last company I was involved with. But he worked at A&M Records for many years. He worked with the Police. He worked with man, who else? Sheryl Crow, Bryan Adams. You signed Sting.
I signed Johnny Lang.
He signed Johnny Lang, Sheryl Crow. You name it. This guy's done it.
Wow.
So this guy's definitely an expert. In fact, if you're ever in Atlanta, Georgia, just give Al a call and you can go see his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Got all these gold records all over his house.
Very cool.
Al's just quiet now. Let me get the crickets.
I'm just listening.
How you been, man?
I was listening to you. I've been great. I'm retired. You know?
I see all your posts. I see all the posts about all the TV shows you're into.
Oh, yeah. Totally into TV all the time.
It's good.
You know, there's nothing else to do. Settled with the hospital on my lawsuit.
Nice.
Yeah. Big money.
Oh, yeah. You still
Doug and I we go to concerts all the time, see all the old bands I used to work with.
Oh, Doug?
Oh, yeah. We went to 3 shows last week alone. Soundgarden show was like pretty amazing because I didn't get home till like 6 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, you guys hung out and everything?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I saw Zummy on Tuesday.
I don't know what I can talk about on your show because when I went into your chat room, I went in as butt munch, and the guy said I wasn't allowed to do that.
Oh, you know what? We have a moderator in there because sometimes we get trolls that come in there. And what happens is they'll distract Jeff or myself from doing the show, so the moderators just kind of ask you to change it, because he probably thought you could have been a bot or something like that. So I wouldn't take total offense to that.
Well, I'm not, but he said nicer. I think he called me and said nicer Nick or something like that.
hey, if you
did Jeff read this?
Yeah, sometimes I do, but hey. The cool thing about Al Marks is Al Marks, he won't share any of these stories, but we can share one story that, Al always has these stories about the music industry. And maybe one of these times, I was actually going to do a music show, Al, but I thought about it, and it wouldn't come across because I can't play music because of the, the money revenue thing. It's just like, I don't have the money to. Yeah. So, anyways.
You can tell him the story about going to breakfast with, what's his name? Who was it, that guy?
Yeah. I was going to go there. Now, funny story. We were in LA. This was what, three years ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was, Al. Yep. If Al Mark's trademark is he always wears Hawaiian shirts. Always. To this day, he still wears Hawaiian shirts everywhere he goes. So Al would not drive in the car with me and this other guy. He had to rent his own car because he just didn't trust anybody driving. So we showed up. We were actually meeting with a guy that used to run ABC, the network, the president of ABC, for breakfast. He's like doing films now, but we were maybe discussing some music stuff with some films, and we got there early. So we sat down, and he goes, "Hey, by the way, across the way, Larry King sits here every morning across the way here." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So we're sitting there talking, and Al shows up late, and Larry King's sitting there, and he looks like a little alien drinking his coffee. And Al stumbles in. I go, "Hey, Al," I go, "Larry King's sitting over there." And he goes, "That's Larry King?" And you can tell the rest, Al. Tell him how you knew Larry King.
Oh, I spent when I was on the road with Herb Alpert, he came to do the Larry King show. We were on from midnight until 3 o'clock in the morning. And every time he went to a break, Herb would look at me and he goes, "When can we get the hell out of here?" So we had to do the 3 hours. So, I was just sitting there and going, "Yeah, Larry King looks like a prune. This is cool." So you tell him the rest. You tell him what you did to me. Okay, so I just said, because Al's a crazy guy, and I just said, being in LA, I was in one of those entourage moods, and I said, "Al, I'll give you $20 if you slap Larry King." And so we were walking their car, and Larry King's waiting for his car to pick him up. And Al goes and takes off towards Larry King. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, Al's going to literally slap Larry King in the back of the head. So I panicked. I started running to my car. And because we had to go to Universal, our training or whatever for the label. And so we took off.
and we left Al there. And Al, you tell the rest of the story.
Well, I was sitting there. I went up and introduced myself to Larry, and I said, "Yeah, like I know you from when I brought Herb Alpert there, and like he made like he knew what I was talking about, but I don't really think he did. But anyway, and I said to him, I said, well, it'd be really cool if me and my partners could get a picture with you." And he looked at me a little strange, and I said, "No," I said, "my two partners, they're standing right here." And I turned around, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll take a picture with you and your two partners." I turned around, there's nobody there. And he had taken off and left me there.
Good job.
I can't talk the way I normally talk because I don't know what kind of show you have, but like it was just like, I can't believe this. I mean, you set me up and leave me here talking to Larry King, look like a schmuck.
Yeah, he thought you were a homeless guy.
No, he didn't think I was a homeless guy, but his security guard was like going, "What's wrong with this guy? There's nobody there."
Oh man,
nobody's standing there. Who's he talking about?
L.A., man, L.A. Well, Al, I'm gonna give you. Thanks for calling. I'm gonna give you a call on the phone. I got to get to Mike Phillips here, our last call, and I want to have you on the show where we can talk all about music industry, but I got to figure it out with music stuff because having a show about music, you got to play tunes, right?
Nah.
No, we'll just talk about
stories. I can tell you the Queen stories.
Yes, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a music show. It's gonna be featuring Al Marks, and I guess we just won't play music. We'll just talk about music industry stories, which would be fun. So, Al, I'm gonna give you a ring, man. Thanks for calling in.
You got it, Jeff. Have a good one.
All
Say
right.
hi to your wife.
I will. Bye. Yeah, Al Marks, man. I love that guy. He's got some stories, and they're the real deal. All right, let's get to Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips in his house. What's going on, Mike?
I have no idea. Nobody will tell me. I just keep trying to figure it out myself.
Man, are you an expert?
I am not an expert, because you know what an expert is. That's a businessman who's a long way from home, and I'm at home.
So how would you define it, Mike, with your words of wisdom? What would you say? How would you classify, if you had to, an expert?
Well, I guess an expert is probably the guy in the room who knows more than anybody else in the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, there's no one knows it all.
That's right.
And a lot of the information is based on opinion, and I've said that to you, Stephen, that I can only tell you what I think, give you my opinion. That doesn't make it right or wrong. I even say to people who buy Blue Yetis and Snowballs, if you like it, go for it. Nothing wrong with it. But I can't imagine why anybody would. But if it works for you, who's to say it's wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of which, does my microphone sound better today?
I don't know. I'm on a telephone.
Sorry, I had to throw that one out there.
Doesn't sound any better over the telephone.
No, I figured as much.
Hey, what's your website so we can plug it? So if any podcasters think they're an expert, why don't you go to Mike Phillips' website? Mike Phillips actually helped me out and said, I'm talking to my microphones backwards. I was actually talking into the cable like this. Mike goes, you got to talk into the microphone, Jeff.
It's MikePhillips.me.
Yeah, check out this website. He is, a guru in all microphone technology. This guy knows it all.
Been doing it a long time.
He knows about every stinking microphone on the planet. You should go to his website.
Not true. There are probably 4 or 5 I've never heard of.
Yeah, the new USB ones, right?
Yeah. But I had a comment and a question for you, sort of.
Yeah.
You sort of struck a nerve on something like Stephen and I have talked a lot about snake oil salesmen. And
yes.
These, quote, podcasting consultants, and for $1,000 you can be near me for a day sort of guys.
Right.
And it's strange because several of the guys in our little group think that have become obsessed with the concept. And maybe I have, but the frustration is that I see what these guys are up to, and they just don't get it. And so you kind of struck a nerve with me. I'm trying to figure out why it bothers me, and nobody else really gives a rat's behind. And maybe it has something to do with my past in the music business. Maybe I've just been so up close and personal to the garbage that you were talking about a while ago that I know where this is going.
Yeah, it makes you jaded. I I hadn't been to Nashville probably about a year and a half, and I went there on Tuesday, and you know, it's a booming city, and I've been going there for years. But like everybody from L.A., New York, or I'm moving to Nashville. It's like the big music hub. Everybody from, you know, country, Christian to, you know, rock and roll, pop, they're all moving there now. So I went there and I just got triggered because I started thinking about things. And it's funny that Al had called, you know, because Al used to work in the music business with me. And, you know, and I was just thinking of, you know, things, and I just would get mad. So it's like a process for me because there's so many people, these people I'm consulting for. I'm like, there's so many people up there that will take advantage of you that can't deliver what they say they're going to deliver, you know? And I look at it too, is like, I see some of these, you know, forums, you know, on Facebook, and I stay more time on the yard sales, Facebook yard sales more than the podcast ones. But I go on these podcast ones, I just kind of chuckle. I'm like, what are these guys smoking? You know, I mean, I try to do a video broadcast, you know, whenever we can do it, but these guys are on some other planet. They're smoking some, you know, they're trying to smoke their microphones, and they're just not realistic with what's going on. You know, everybody sees podcasts, they see some advertisers and whatnot, and everybody's banking money on it. I'm just over that. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the personal audio lawsuit, the patent lawsuit for podcasting?
Oh, the one that Adam Carolla's up against?
Yeah.
Explain that to our listeners.
If you read the news release from Personal Audio, they will tell you that the reason they agreed to drop the suit against several of the original defendants is in discovery they learned that there's no money in podcasting.
Wow.
Yet if you go out and start talking this stuff around, why are you so negative? Why are you trying to say these things? That's just crazy. Of course, we got this Dumbo over here making $1 million a month or whatever he claims, and this guy over here is making $500,000 a year, even though he doesn't know the difference between gross and net.
Right.
I mean, all this just nonsense that's out there, and I got to tell you, I'm working on and getting to the point that I can just look past it, because you can't save people from their own stupidity.
Right.
It just won't work. And it's not my place, it's not my charge in life to go out and to try to save people from themselves. But if people ask me my opinion, I'll give it to them. And if they don't want it, leave it where it's at.
Exactly.
That's all you can do. I mean, I've seen it where these in articles that where Jeff, they've argued with Mike and actually have gone in there but like acted like he didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, the guy's resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand the mentality.
What's it, you know, you got to listen to people too. I mean, even like, you know, we go back to music standpoint, like artists think they know everything, right? It's the same. It's well, you know, and me being a recovering artist myself, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, but when I respect people like Mike or Stephen Heywood or, you know, like an Al Marks that called the music industry, when they have something to say, guess what? I'm going to listen to it. You know why? Because I respect them in their craft, because I look at their product, I look what they're talking about, and guess what? They deliver the goods, you know, and does that make an expert? Well, gosh darn it, I'm backpedaling. I guess it does. It makes them an expert. So I just put my hand in my mouth. But all you posers out there, stop. Just stop it. What'd you have to say, Mike?
Being an expert is in the mind of the beholder. Whatever people want to think, let them think. Because, again, the real problem is that advice and opinions get mixed up, and opinions are based on advice. And, I mean, and vice versa. You know what? Just find out what works for you and do it. If you don't like what somebody tells you, just ignore it.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to tell a singer that, right? They don't have any talent.
Well, that's why they make auto-tune, right?
Yeah. What do we do about broadcasters, podcasters like myself? There's no auto-tune for me.
Say that, but you know, actually, you're hitting on a good point, because this is something that I've talked about from time to time. That, again, people think I'm just being negative, but it so directly relates to the music business. I appreciate the connection. I hadn't really thought about it until I heard you mention that. But you take people, for example, beginning podcasters.
Right.
And, gosh, they're horrible. I mean, they are horrible. But nevertheless, where do the success stories come from? Adam Carolla started from scratch one day. I don't think he started the first day he was on the air sounding the way he does now.
Right.
process. So you don't want to discourage people from starting, but gosh, these guys who, I mean, we were talking earlier in the week about Vanna White. She's been on that TV show, what, 60 or 70 years?
Yeah.
And she still sounds like she's reading a script from her maybe from her audition. So some people just never get it. And at some point, I guess they throw in the towel, but it gets real frustrating to hear people who come in, this is the such and such podcast, and today we are going to talk about advertisers and how to get them and why this show only has 4 downloads. Thanks, Tom.
You've got to get the advertisers to make the money. Oh, yeah. Well, I think.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks, man. Mike, it's so great that you called in the show, man. And
well, I appreciate the insight. That you really opened my eyes to something I've been trying to put my thumb on, because my predisposition towards snake oil salesmen probably comes out of the music business, because it is so prevalent there.
Yeah.
And people in the podcasting community don't have the benefit of that experience to understand what sort of dead-end road they're being led down.
Right. It's true.
Good. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for calling.
Take care.
Yep. See you, Mike.
Man, what a great way to wrap up a show with the great Mike Phillips calling in the show and, sharing his 2 cents. And, audio problems in the beginning, but guess what? We wrapped up a show, and I thought towards the end, it got a little interesting with Mike, and now Mark's calling in. And till next week, folks, we out of here.